And you can feel free to chime in too if you need to correct something or anything. All right, starting off, your parents. Where were they born? Do you know where they were born?
They were born in Ireland.
Okay.
Ireland.
Both of them.
Both of them. Yeah. And I used to know the names of the places where they were born, but
Galway
was my mother.
and Mayo.
And Mayo, that's right. That's right. Mayo is a tough toughie. That was my father.
What were their names?
Their names?
Yeah.
Well, my father's name was mine, or vice versa. Thomas Joseph Cunningham.
Oh, that's right. Is this what Ryan picked up?
No.
Oh no, this is just yours. So
Where
this
did this
is
come from?
I've had it.
Thomas Joseph.
That's your family tree. The one you did when you were in Trinity.
Oh, Thomas Joseph. Yeah, that was my father's name.
And who
Thomas Joseph Cunningham Jr.
And who did he marry?
That's what I was known as all through my younger days. As Junie, Junior.
Okay.
Junie. They all called me Junie.
Junie, because you were Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your mother's name?
My mother's name was
Catherine. Agnes.
Agnes, yeah. Catherine Agnes.
Mullen.
Catherine Agnes Mullen, right, yeah.
And they were born in Ireland.
They were born in Ireland, yeah.
And did they get married in Ireland?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes, they got married in Ireland. Ryan saw the marriage certificate when he was there.
Oh, okay.
For your mother and father.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm.
So they were married in Ireland, and do you know?
Married in Ireland. They only married a little while though, because my brother was born in 1914. He was the first one. So they must have been all right.
Was he born here?
My brother was born here, yeah.
So they must have come over before 1914, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you know where they? Did they come over to Connecticut, or did they live?
That I don't know, but I would guess that they did.
Okay.
Yeah, I would guess that they did.
Do you know why they came over?
Well, for whatever the reason was, most of them were leaving. They wanted to get out of there, and
Yeah.
We're talking now between 1905 and and then the First World War.
Okay.
That's the period of time we're talking about.
Yep.
When they were getting married and when they were coming over, and they must have got over here around 1910, I would say, or 12. Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they came over, and they were already married. So they started, and do you know what they were doing for jobs? What?
My mother, I think, did what they call out the hill. She'd go out and she'd work for the richer people, you know, taking care of the beds and washing and things like that. That was a big thing that those kids were doing. And my father was a butcher, and the first or the only place that I knew that he worked before he had his own place was Dominic Burns. Dominic Burns. That was a big name store.
Okay.
For a small place, you know, down on Park Street. And then he met Joe Archer. Joe Archer. They both worked there together, and they decided to open up their own store.
Okay.
Which was maybe about 6 or 8 blocks away from there, up on Broad Street.
And it would be just a butcher's.
Huh?
And there was going to be just for meat and to be.
Well, they had a little store, but they had a little bit of vegetables in there too. But most of it was meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're both living and working, and you know your father's working in Hartford.
Yeah.
And then they started having a family.
Yeah. Well, my father was starting to do very well.
Okay.
Because this is in the in the teens.
Yep.
19, 12, 14, 16, and so forth. My father never went in the war, although he had brothers that did. And he did quite well, because in the 20s, when I was born,
yeah.
in the 20s, he owned altogether 4 houses.
Okay.
Yeah. A house on Lincoln Street, which my brother bought later on from him because my father was done for. And where he had the store had 2 stores on the bottom, a small store and a big store right next to it. And then there was 4 apartments up above. He owned that building.
Okay.
And then up the street, right behind that was another building that had 4 families, enough for four families. He owned that building. So he owned the other store, the first store, the building that he had that my brother bought. Then he owned the store where his business was. Then he owned the one behind it, and then he owned where we lived.
Okay.
And he bought that just before I was born.
Okay.
He bought that. My older brother and my sister were born when they were living above the store where my father had been working.
Okay.
Dominic Burns. They lived on the 3rd floor. As a matter of fact, my father's youngest brother was just 21 on his birthday when he died. And they lived on the 3rd floor, and he always kept talking about how tough it was to carry the casket down from the 3rd floor down.
So they had the funeral in the house?
Apparently, yeah. That was a big thing in those days.
Right.
I went to a lot of funerals that were in the very same house.
Okay.
Where people lived.
I think they had the wake in the house.
Oh, the wake, right.
The wake, that's
right.
That's
I know what you mean. Yeah,
the wake. You're right.
So they had to carry him down the stairs.
Yeah.
So are you the youngest of your siblings?
No. I had a younger sister.
So
there was 2 boys and 2 girls.
Okay.
And split perfect,
So you had an older brother and sister.
An older brother, an older sister, myself, and then I had a kid sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of you, and you started off, and when you were born, you were not above the store anymore. You were in the other house that he owned.
When we were born, I was in that new house.
Okay.
Where
was it a multi-family? Was there other
single family?
So it's just your family there.
Yeah. Single family house. Yeah.
And so, what kind of neighborhood was it?
It was a nice neighborhood. It was kind of a busy neighborhood, but it was nice. It wasn't too far from Park Street. And it wasn't too far from what's the one in the back? Capitol Avenue. Those are 2 big streets. They both go all the way downtown. From where we were, which was nearly in West Hartford.
Right.
We weren't too far from the West Hartford line, but we were still in Hartford. And those 2 streets were big streets then. So we were in that street, and there was a fire engine on the other end of the street, way up near the past Capitol Avenue, which isn't there anymore. I don't know where I was.
Do you know that is the house you grew up in still there?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I sold it.
Really?
Yeah, I had to sell it when my father died. I had to take care of everything when my father died.
So when did that? So what did you do for fun as a kid? When you were
I can
living there?
almost say, although it wasn't, I can almost say it was like it was for all our kids out around here.
Yeah.
There was kids everywhere.
Okay.
They were all everywhere. Plus there was 2 schools right within walking distance of everybody in Parkville.
Okay.
There was public school, New Park Avenue Public School, and there was Our Lady of Sorrows Catholic School. So we were all together, so we knew all the guys, whether they were Catholic or not.
Yeah.
And whether they didn't necessarily be Catholic, because sometimes there was some Catholics that didn't go to the Catholic school.
Right.
They went to the Protestant school. They went to the other school.
Yeah.
So there was kids everywhere.
What would you do on a given day when you were kids if you were just at home? Would you be outside with everybody?
Everybody's outside. Yeah. There'd be kids on 4th of July. There'd be kids up and down the street shooting fireworks at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
And what'd you do for fun when you were outside? Then were there parks or was it baseball or did you?
There was a big schoolyard up from the public school. They had a big schoolyard. We used to do a lot of playing up there. Touch football, baseball, softball, things like that. And there was a little bit of it in the Catholic schoolyard too, but not much.
Yeah.
But you were always active, always active. All you had to do was open your eyes, wake up in the morning. You can't wait to put your clothes on to get the hell out, go out. And there was somebody around.
Yeah.
There was always somebody around.
Did you have a specific best friend or someone that you usually?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of best friends. Tommy O'Toole, Richie Young, Bob Carey. A lot of good friends. Oh yeah, there was a load of people.
Yeah.
For at least 8 or 10 streets up and that sideways. There was at least somebody that was there that maybe they knew somebody else. Matter of fact, I brought a guy into our neighborhood who had just moved in, but he moved in up further up and north of on our street.
Yep.
Almost to almost to Farmington Avenue. And I said, Bert, come on, we'll play ball. Come on. He goes, geez, Tom, I don't know. And I brought him in, and he was a hard nut. And I almost lost my badge, so to speak. When I'm the one that's bringing the media, what the hell did you bring this guy in?
Remember, his mother died.